Hi friends, Lorelei Black here from Blade Broom Botanica. Today we're going to talk about the triple soul of the witch. Technically it's everybody's triple soul, but witchcraft is one of the places where we see this concept echoed. This is actually not an uncommon cosmological or metaphysical concept throughout world cultures, particularly in places in the world or times in the world where a shamanic worldview that embraces a three realm, nine realm, or other sort of multiverse cosmology has come into play. And so it's a very shamanic way of viewing the self that we're seeing with this tripartite soul. And so what we're going to see is that it is both a separate but unified way of seeing the self. When we look at metaphysics, or we look at world philosophies or doctrines, when we look at mysticism from across the world, we see a lot of people grappling with what is it that the soul is, what is it that it does. We believe ourselves, we know ourselves to be, most of us as humans are pretty convinced that we're more than just these sort of earthly physical bodies that have electrical impulses running through these brains, and that when we die, that's just the end of it. That could be all it is. I mean, I'm willing to concede the fact that I don't necessarily know with certainty, but I have a pretty strong suspicion, right? I have this experience that tells me that there's something more, that there's just something more going on than that. And to that end, it helps for us to get to know these three parts of our souls. So the black soul, I'll start with the black soul. It's the easiest to understand, I think. The black soul is the soul that gives us this identity in this life. It is the soul that is the fetch for when we travel out. So it is the soul that's able to take a different shape as well. But it's the one that looks like us when it leaves the body. So it's the one that is the most easily able to leave the body. So when you go and you do astral projection, or spirit flight, or you fly out to the Sabbath, whatever it is that you might be doing when you leave your body, that is the black soul. When you die, that black soul either travels on to another place and is sort of recycled. It joins all the other black souls and sort of gets re-amalgamated and sort of sent back out, sort of like, I don't know, I think of it as like a cauldron. This is how I visualize it. I don't exactly know what happens. It's not for me to know, right? This is how I think of it. It sort of goes into the primordial ooze of soul stuff, mixes around, and then goes back out. Or it gets stuck here, right? And this is what we think of as ghosts. That's my take on it. This black soul, in terms of where it's seated in the body, you can't see my hands right now, but it's seated in the abdomen, like down just below the navel is where I think of it, that cauldron that is the belly. Yeah, like just below the navel, if you were to put your hands there. The red soul is an eternal part of the self. The red soul and the white soul are both eternal parts of the self, right? So, and in that sense, they enjoy what we would think of as sort of an alchemical marriage. So they are always together, moving forward, unless some sort of trauma happens to them that would separate them. I would think that would have to be an exceedingly great trauma. And traumas do happen to the various parts of the soul. This is part of the work of shamanic healers, right? And of spirit healers to be able to help do soul retrievals and help bring back pieces of the soul that have gone missing. Usually it's not entire soul separation where the white soul and the red soul would have gotten separated from each other, but really where like pieces of them have gotten lost along the way, and you'd have to go back and fetch them, and retrieve them and bring them back and sort of reintegrate them into the self. But the red soul is what we in the American folkloric tradition call the bone soul. We call it that because it's the soul it's in the marrow, right? So it's that deep bone. It's the ancestral self. This is the soul that ties you to connects you to your family, that those parts of your family that you keep coming back to. Not every member of your family is tied together in these groups that come back again and again and again, but some parts of your family are. There's this saying that blood calls to blood, and some parts of your family do come back together again and again as you reincarnate. This concept of soul family, you know, I don't think that you have just one soulmate. I think that you have groups of soulmates, that you have groups that are your soul family. And so that's another sort of aspect of that red thread. And we find that red thread there in our bone soul. That's part of how we feel that connection to the Witch Father. That's part of how we feel our calling to witchcraft very often, is not just through our physical bloodline, but it's through our ancestral spirit bloodline. It's through that bone soul. It's because we've lived it so many times. And so even if maybe it's generations back that witchcraft might be in our family and we can never prove it in this lifetime because the records just don't exist anymore, we have it in our soul. We have it in our bone soul. And then there's the white soul. So with the white soul, in many cultures, they're going to call this the higher self. That's a very common term these days. It sounds very new age and flu-flu, but that's okay. Don't let that put you off about this, right? This is a concept that has existed for a very long time. Ceremonial magic would call this the HGA, or the higher guardian angel. This is the God self. This is the indwelling God. This is you at your most evolved. It is difficult for you to know this aspect of yourself in regular waking consciousness. This is what meditation is for. This is what trance work is for. This is what witchcraft is for. You know, this is why we do this work. A lot of times is to sort of get outside of ourselves and to get to know this amazing being that we are I would say on a deep level and on a high level. And so the white soul, the energetic center for that white soul is actually here at the crown of the head. And so a lot of times people are able to see this in people that have a very highly developed white soul, or a white soul that they're very in touch with, as sort of a corona or a crown. Sometimes they see it as a bird, a dove or some such, alighting on their head. And so we see, you know, across world cultures, we see people who have that. We see paintings and drawings and statuary and that kind of thing of people who have sort of reached that state with those sorts of drawings and images like that. I forgot to mention the red soul. The energetic seat is at the heart. That's where we sort of most get in touch with that. When I talk about where those energetic seats are, in the gut, in the heart, at the head. When we have those moments of enlightenment that would be connected to those different soul parts, or when we get shock or pain that would be connected to those different soul parts, this is also where we tend to feel them in our bodies. It's like a punch to the gut, or it's like your heart breaking. You can't wrap your head around it, that kind of thing. Like, we tend to actually experience physical sensations that are related to that. That's all I have to say about that for today. I hope that this video was useful and informative for you. I will have more videos coming out, something new every Monday at noon Eastern. So please comment, share your thoughts. We'll have links down below, and like, follow, share, do all the things. I'll see you later. Bye.